Well, this morning, the race to reopen the country is now on. South Carolina expected to reopen public beaches this week. In the meantime, some North Carolina beaches also opening as well. But a lot of folks asking the question, is this way too much too soon? That is the big question. President Trump has given governors the power to decide what is best for their states. At the same time, we are all getting antsy to get back into our routines, that's for sure. And as our state and local leaders try to figure out what to do with that, a lot of people are getting impatient. Protesters, as you see right here, expected in Raleigh tomorrow, calling for Governor Cooper to start reopening North Carolina. And 5 Republican senators calling on him to reopen the Charlotte Motor Speedway to allow races, but allow races without fans. This as the number of COVID-19 cases continue to rise. In North Carolina, there are now over 6,600 cases. In South Carolina, that number is just above 4,300 cases. Our team coverage kicks off this morning with Wake Up Charlotte's Richard Devane. And Richard, things are going to be reopened slowly.
Absolutely correct, Ben. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning, all. You mentioned those senators wanting the Charlotte Motor Speedway open, one of the 3 major tourist areas in our area. We can tell you that the other 2 sites are the mall and also the Billy Graham Museum, the Billy Graham Library, I should say. And that is one of the things that will reopen partially very soon. A new poll finds most Americans are concerned states will reopen too quickly. 66% saying they're concerned that states will open too quickly, while 32% of Americans are concerned that states won't reopen fast enough. Governor Roy Cooper says the outbreak of the coronavirus is slowing, but adds more steps need to be in place before he can ease restrictions.
Easing restrictions here in our state without enough masks, gowns, and gloves is like setting off on a 3-day camping trip with enough food for just one night.
This as a group called Reopen North Carolina, which is similar to other groups around the country, will protest the governor's stay-at-home order this Tuesday. And today, the Billy Graham Library plans to reopen the outdoor memorial prayer garden, adding hand sanitizer stations and limiting the number of people on the property to a maximum of 20 guests at a time. So that is the case. As a matter of fact, as we talk about polls and the majority of Americans wanting things to reopen at a slower pace, we can tell you the number of Americans who wanted to open things slowly 2 weeks ago has decreased about 10 percentage points on most major polls. So more and more Americans, even though the numbers are less, more and more Americans are wanting something to happen as soon as possible. We're in Charlotte. Richard Devane for Wake Up Charlotte.
Well, this week, South Carolina is set to begin easing restrictions, and that move has a lot of people divided. Wake Up Charlotte's Rachel Lundberg is tracking all the reaction coming in from you online.
A huge talker on our Facebook page right now is South Carolina starting to ease some of the restrictions by reopening access to the beach this week. This comes as the state is reporting more than 4,200 cases of COVID-19. So definitely a conversation worth having right now. Both public beaches and retail stores have been closed in the state for just over 2 weeks. On Twitter, Governor Henry McMaster said on Saturday that he was having great conversations with fellow Southeastern governors about what their plans were. And remember, that was just about 1 day after he reinstated the public boat ramps and the landings there in the state. So here's what we're expecting from several different senators saying that public access to the beaches in South Carolina are going to be reopening this week with social distancing enforced on those beaches. Representative Clemens saying thank you for listening and taking action on this and also enforcing that social distancing. Also seeing several sources reporting that retail stores down in South Carolina are going to be open as early as Tuesday. So we're talking about furniture, jewelry, clothing stores opening this week as well. We have a live survey up. We want you to go vote on this. Curious to see what your opinion is about these moves to ease the restriction this soon, this quickly in the state. Do you think that the beaches and retail stores should be reopening at this point? Yes to both. No, you think it's too soon, or maybe you think just open the beach for now or just open the retail stores. As you saw at the beginning, hundreds of people have been commenting on this story on our Facebook page. One of them saying, thank you, South Carolina. Hector saying, if this continues, they just need to enforce and make sure you are doing that 6 feet of social distancing, and hopefully everything will be okay. I'll toss it back to you guys with the result of what the poll is so far.
Rachel, thanks. And you can see in the polling that people feel very strongly about this one way or the other. We gave you 4 options, but it seems like most people are either weighing in, yes, let's reopen things, or no, not at all. Carolyn.
I mean, it makes sense, though, because really there is no gray area with this. You either open things or you don't. You know what I mean? There really is no in between.
Yeah, it's either you take, the advice of the experts and say, hey, yeah, let's go with what they say, or you say, no, let's not, and we need to get back to work. You're probably right on that. All right, Carolyn, Thank you. All right, time now, 5:08, turning to some of the other big developments in our COVID-19 coverage. Some states will begin easing their stay-at-home restrictions today. Texas will reopen parks today, and all stores will be allowed offer to-go service starting Friday. Vermont allowing certain businesses to reopen today using social distancing guidelines. Several other states have announced they will enter phase 1 of President Trump's reopening plan on May 1st. Speaking of, President Trump says he will use the Defense Production Act to boost production of swab tests. He says labs will soon be making 10 million tests per month. Vice President Mike Pence is also set to hold a call with governors today to discuss testing in their states.
I'm Tracy Potts. Looks like the wheels are turning in Washington for small businesses to get loans to pay their bills and pay their workers. This has been in limbo for some time, but we are told that a deal could be had today, with the Senate acting today, the House tomorrow, and the president signing off on this and starting to reissue those loans as of Wednesday. The deal would include $250 billion for small business loans, plus what Democrats wanted, more for rural and minority businesses, plus money for public health and testing.
New this morning, one of the companies that did get money from the original small business loan program is giving it back. Shake Shack is returning the $10 million they got. The chain CEO says there are other restaurants who need it more.